Sometimes we have weather against us. There's delays. Just be patient because it is one step at a time. And sometimes when we're acclimatizing to climb mountains, we have to go up and there's days that we have to come back down. So our body adjusts. So that's just like life. Just take one step at a time. And sometimes we do have to go backwards. And that's okay because it'll propel us to go back up.
Hello viewers, welcome to another exciting episode on Talk with Mo. Now, if you think you've faced challenges, you're going through challenges and you're often tempted to give up, just wait till you get to hear from our guest today. She had every obstacle in her way, but she dared when most women wouldn't. My guest today is none other but Ema Dantas, one of the very few Canadian women who's made history by climbing Mount Everest. But that's not the only feat this woman has conquered. She's authored a book. I'm going to let her speak for herself. Ema, you're welcome to Talk with Mo.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I am so excited to be here.
We are excited that you are here.
Thank you.
Wow, one of the few Canadian women who's climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with, how did that happen? What made you think of, okay, it's a beautiful Monday morning, and I think what I'm going to do next is climb Mount Everest. How did this all begin?
In a kind of a long story, but in a short story, I founded a foundation called Peace for Change Foundation, and it was to our goal and our mandate is to end the stigma on mental health. And I know that everybody's saying that mental health, that we understand mental health and that we don't have stigma, but it still exists. It's just I think many times, the majority of the times, it's a social media thing that everybody's good about it, but when it comes down to it, nobody's good about it. And that was through a personal journey that because of my mom was mentally ill. She had an illness. It was mental health. And at 66, she gave up on life. Fast forward 5 or 6 years later, it was just a journey. And when I founded Peaks for Change, we decided that as a board, so what are we going to do to end the stigma, to bring attention? And I thought, I'll climb mountains. And one of my board members said, you do know you're afraid of heights. And that it requires I still remember this conversation so well, because he's like, it requires for you to sleep in a tent, Emma. And I'm like, huh? Okay. Anyways, I figured out that I was going to go and climb mountains, and I was afraid of heights until actually Everest, which was my last mountain. And that is how I decided to go climb mountains one after the other. With Everest, it was a very big personal challenge, not just because it was in the midst of when we had the lockdown, and but with COVID it was a challenge in its own. But when I did summit in 2022, it was more a personal journey. In 2021, I attempted to summit, and before I got to Camp 1, and I had been ill from the beginning since I entered the park, and there was something in me that I found, and I see that in your book. I actually have felt a darkness. And I remember going up to camp, like when we were going up the ice fall, and I kept fearing is this darkness around me. And anyways, I came back and I did medevac out after I didn't finish. And every time people would tell me, oh, you just go back, that's okay. You'll just go back. And I would say to myself, I'm going back. Like, who said I'm going back? And then actually my youngest daughter had said, you should do it, Mom. You need to go back. Like, you'll always wonder. And I did. And in 2022, totally different experience. In every mountain I usually take, I always take a flag that I painted that says Jesus, #Jesus rocks. It's a great hashtag.
It is great.
And and that was my thing. I just needed to go up to the mountains and just put
your flag there.
Yeah, Jesus rocks.
Jesus does rock.
Yeah, so that's kind of in a nutshell what started it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a climb for mental health, but in 2022, I think it was to find myself, and God needed. We just needed a lot of alone time, and let me tell you, Everest is really tall. You have a lot of alone time in your head.
Now, how many of you did this climb at the same time?
I think we're about 8 in our team. I'm sorry, guys, if I left one of us out. I went with Furtenbach Expedition Adventures, and I was the only woman in the team for Everest. We did have another woman climber. She did Lhotse, and we became best friends. And we actually had another female as well. She was our expedition doctor, and she also summited it, obviously. Yeah.
Now, you described there's something very graphic that impacted you greatly during this climb. You described seeing a dead body and just not being able to cross over because you had to cross over to continue on your summit. What was that experience like? Did you just feel like, this is it, I cannot continue, I'm done? How did that impact you?
When I came back down, my thing is that nobody should really climb Everest. Everest should be unclimbable just because of the dangers, and it's no longer a mountain that you want to conquer, because it's there. But it's just become so touristy, and I think that we've put fame or something that we really want to do above human life. When I saw the dead body, I actually thought, because it was coming into the Hillary steps and is on the way to the summit, and I saw this body just laying there, and he still had his crampons on, his oxygen mask was still on, and I thought to myself, what a silly place to lay down. That was what went through my head first, and I'm like, such a silly place. Like, we all have to go over you, buddy. And then my eyes went to a tear on his suit, and I saw a climber literally with his crampons step on it, and that is when it hit me that he was dead. And I just froze, and I didn't go over it. I actually went, which was really, really dangerous, to go over on the ridge. And I climbed on the ridge, and my instructor was telling me, no, stay here. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I kind of crawled over on the ridge. And then went to the summit, stayed on the summit. On the way back, there was just such a big lineup, and it was before the dead body again. And I literally, I think we were there for about 40 minutes waiting for the human traffic to pass, because there's only a little space that we all have to go two-way on a one-way street. I cried, and I thought to myself, what am I doing here? I'm going to die. And I literally begged God to just bring me back to my family. I wanted to see my grandkids. I wanted to see my daughters. And well, he did. 'Cause he's
And you're
gracious.
here.
I'm here. He's gracious, and he always, if it's his plan, he will keep you safe. But again, that body there. Now I after having conversations with other climbers, I know that there was a lot of people that had a big problem with it. But it's just it's we've become inhuman.
No.
It's inhumanized. Is that if we can't pass, if we can't stop, and if that doesn't affect us, like what kind of world do we live in?
That brings me to a question. What's this urge in people that wants them want to climb mountains? And I'm not talking about just the physical mountains now, but it just looks like everyone is in a rush to get to the summit. And on their way, they forget the humanness. Why do you think that is so prevalent in our society today?
I think we just become, and good question, because I've thought about that a lot, and I think that this is part of my journey, and maybe this is what God wanted to teach me. Because we are all in a rush, and I have been in a rush. I think I have been in a rush my whole life. I'm an only child. I always wanted to do better. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I wanted life to. I remember being 14 and wanted to be 18. I remember to being 18, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, now I'm old, and my life has passed me by because we're in a rush. And we're so focused on what we want to accomplish, what we think is important that we want to accomplish, and maybe that's not what's important. I think in 2021, and I think this is what Everest taught me, I really wanted to make the summit. I had summited the other 7 summits because I did both versions, so there are 8 summits, all in my first try. And people would go, this is just weird, because a lot of people try. And I'm like, I'm just going to go up and come down. I want to do this. And in 2021, that wasn't happening. God was not making it happen, because I remember that darkness that I spoke a little while ago about. But I also remember when I made the decision that I was medvacing out, that I wasn't going to go up, I just felt like, oh, that was so beautiful outside. And when we're, I don't know, even our life, like in our lives, that we don't take the time to look to the sides. We don't take the time to just appreciate. Like, I've been doing a lot of studying because I'm writing another book. It's called After the Summit. No, and the power of forgiveness, and it's mostly the power of forgiveness for self-forgiveness. But Jesus would go to the mountain to find peace, and I think that was my journey, and that's what God wanted for me, is to go to the mountain to find peace. In 2021, it wasn't supposed to be that, and to care. Jesus would be in the mountain camping and playing with children. He took to take time to build toys for the kids, to listen to the kids, to the children. So he had time to care, and just to pray, and to be, sometimes it was to be by himself, but to pray and to care. And I think that that's what the mountains are supposed to show us, is that it is one step at a time, because it's funny. That is our mantra. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that is how you climb a mountain. And I think if bring that into our daily lives and into
Mhm.
our world and then into our business world,
Mm.
I think that we would be way, way better. And just start caring, because in our world we don't care.
We don't
And
care.
and the only place that I really kind of saw that was really in Everest. Everybody was just in a hurry. Everybody wants to pass everybody. I remember seeing, and I saw it on another video on YouTube, that it actually gave me chills, because it was from last year that somebody had, and there's a body of a gentleman and a woman was his guy sitting there, and I thought that they were just resting.
Oh.
Now I've realized that those are two extra dead bodies. And I had passed them. We had passed them, and I had told my Sherpa, and I go, they have no oxygen. And my Sherpa just said, ma'am, just continue, just continue. And I thought to myself, silly people are just sitting there. Their face is freezing. Like, why don't they just move? Well, now I know, because I was watching something a few months ago, and I'm like, wait a minute.
They were lifeless.
I saw those people. I know those guys. So for everybody, and there's thousands of people that walk through them. How do we not care?
Good question. Really, that should rattle everyone. What's changed in our world so much that we've become desensitized to being human?
It is.
Well, the lessons you learned from Everest, you've taken this care, this concept of care, you've taken that further. And I know that you have a conference coming up soon called the One Woman Fearless. And it's so apt to have that title, because you've proven that you're fearless. And it might be, we are fearful beings, but you are saying we can do things fearlessly. And you have actually lived that example by the several summits you're climbing. However, what intrigues me is the story behind one woman, right? Often we feel, oh, I'm just one. I can't, no one feels my impact. No one's going to know the difference I'm making. But you say, no, it starts with one woman. Tell me about that.
One Woman was founded by Charlotte, and it was her impact. She started it 10 years ago. One Woman on a trip, and if anybody goes to her website, it's onewoman.ca, and you'll see the lovely story that it was she calls us also her ha moment with God. She was on a trip to Ecuador, and she realized that one woman can make a difference. Yep, one woman, because it's one of at a time. And again, and I found it. I had spoken at two of her conferences back in 2018. And what caught my attention, and again, God always puts things in front of us that he wants us to see, even when we complain that we don't hear him. And he's like, well, are you blind? Because I just put something in front of you. And I had seen all of a sudden one woman on top of a very big rock, and with her eyes or arms opened, in a sign of fearless. And anyways, when you go to all the things that one woman at a time that can do, and we don't have to help everybody. Sometimes we say we want create a foundation to help everybody, and that was part of Peaks for Change for me, until I realized that when I founded Peaks for Change, was that I didn't want one woman, no other woman, to go die how my mom died, alone. And if I could just help one woman, it would be great, because that one woman wouldn't have to have my mom's faith and dying alone. Fearless is just because you can't fear. If you believe in something, and you have God with you. I totally believe you can't do it without him, even though I am stubborn and sometimes I try to, I got this, and God just says, no, you didn't. Totally failed at it. You totally failed at it. But if we help one at a time, that one person will help the other people. Like for one woman, for Shara, she started helping one. Then that helps her children. Then that helps the community. That helps eventually helps the country. And it goes from country to country.
The power of one.
It's just the power of one. And then if we actually go back, and I've been thinking a lot about this, is that God would always said that he would go to his last one sheep.
The lost sheep. Yes.
And we keep forgetting that one. He didn't care about the 99 that were totally cool or, totally passed through. He wanted that one because that's the one that needed to make the difference. So when Charlotte named it One Woman, I think it was a perfect name. And hopefully in the conference that we're having on the 29th, that it's more than one woman attending, but it's each and every one of the stories that these women are going to share, because each one of them has an impact, maybe just one other one. And if we have 11 and each one of us impacts one, that's already 22.
The effect that can make just one woman.
Yes.
Even if we think of it, one woman from every community, every municipality. Imagine going back and impacting your communities and the ripple effect that will have.
Yeah.
And you said this is happening on the 29th of March
here in Mississauga.
I'm going to put that in the YouTube description so you have that. Please attend that conference. And when you do, I'm promising you a copy of Ema Dantas' book, her first book. You're going to get a copy of her book for the first 5 people that attends her conference. And if you put back there or say to her, I was at your conference, and put the description there that I was at your conference through this YouTube video. If that happens, we owe you a book.
Signed.
A book. Signed doesn't get any better. Signed by the author herself. Yes. So 5 books for the first 5 people that attend this conference. The details of the conference are going to be on this YouTube channel description, and we'll also post that on our Instagram page. So stay tuned and be watching out for all of that. Ema, do you have any last words?
No,
to say to our people? If there's any woman out there trying to climb her own summit, it could be mental health, it could be failure in marriage, it could be a marital breakdown, it could be even work-related issues, whatever mountains they are trying hard, what would you say to them? What's your last words to them?
Sometimes we have weather against us. There's delays. Just be patient, because it is one step at a time. And sometimes when we're acclimatizing to climb mountains, we have to go up, and there's days that we have to come back down. So our body adjusts. So that's just like life. Just take one step at a time. And sometimes we do have to go backwards. And that's okay, because it'll propel us to go back up.
I like that. We need to go back sometimes so we can get propelled. You need that energy. You need that oxygen.
Yes.
You need to exhale.
Yes.
So sometimes you need to take a step back so you can gather more strength to push forward. Well said, Ema. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
Well said. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take good care of yourself. God bless you. Catch you later.